Hi guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how to make this amazing intro in DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, so that was an intro I made for a client a while ago, and I did it from scratch. That whole thing is from scratch. I brought a couple of pictures and videos, PNG layers together to create that intro, and it has to do with a lot of layers stacked on top of each other because I tried to use the edit page for everything, almost everything. Yeah, almost everything. I did a little infusion, and the reason why I did that is because a lot of people that use DaVinci Resolve, yeah, they are very good with the edit page, but some people are still kind of skeptical about fusion, you know, the whole node thing and connecting nodes and all that. Especially when you're doing something very complex, it becomes very confusing. So, and also, you know, using fusion for very complex editing affects the the capacity of your PC. If you have a medium range, probably not an high end like latest graphics card PC, it might lag a little. So I did most of these things in the edit page, and I'll show you how to do it from scratch. Now all the assets I use for this video are going to be in a Google document file that I'm going to attach to this video on YouTube. If you're watching from other platforms, you might not have the link available to you on other platforms, so you have to go to my page on YouTube, go to the description, you see the link, and then you can get access to all the PNGs, the background music I use, the videos and everything, so you can follow along. So let's go straight to DaVinci Resolve and start making this intro. Alright, so this is the timeline we're going to be working with, and as you can see I have some markers here just to mark where I'm going to be putting most of the assets. I don't want to spend so much time figuring out where to put the pictures and the videos and the bottles and all that, because I've done this before. So I just put these markers here to just know where I'm going to be putting each of the assets to just make the whole thing easier. So first of all, we're going to add the background. Here's the background. Just add the background here, drag to the beginning. So this is the background we're going to be using, but we're going to have to change the color of this because this is not the color I want. I need a kind of purple, purple background. This is kind of it's kind of reddish, red yellowish. I don't want that. So I'm not going to touch or temper with the color of the video. I'm just going to add I'm going to go to the effects, I'm going to go to generators and add a solid color. So now that we have the solid color here, we're going to go to generators, and it's black right now. We'll change it to purple. I want to use this purple color, and then as you can see, it's just solid, and we need the background to reflect from it. So we're going to go to settings, go to opacity, and just make it 25. Yeah, so this is what I want. So see the before and after. Just want it a little bit purple, but I still want this design background to show. All right, so straight up we're going to add an adjustment layer so we can start making this complex logo. It's not really complex, but we have to do it in Fusion. This is the part where we really dive into Fusion to make this logo a 3D. Now if you look at the intro, you notice the 3D logo kind of spins from the bottom up. I'm going to create that, and for those of you who haven't created that, this is best opportunity to learn how to create a 3D logo and kind of animate it, right? So we're going to add an adjustment clip. I'm using an adjustment clip instead of a Fusion clip so the background can reflect from the back, because I want to be able to see what I'm doing when I jump to Fusion. So let's jump to Fusion. I have a shortcut for Fusion which is Ctrl+Shift+Q. So that shortcut just takes me to Fusion instead of right clicking and open as Fusion. Now just I created that shortcut to make things easier. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is to add an S ellipse node, so we can create that extruded 3D look. So shift space S ellipse, sit right here, we add it, we take it up, let's drag this down. So there's our S ellipse, and then we're going to connect it to an extrude node. So control space extrude. Okay, so these are the ones we're going to use to add the 3D logo. So since we've connected the extrude node to the ellipse, we have this circle. So to add extrusion to this, we'll click on the extrude node and would increase the extrusion style to about 0.331. I think this is okay. So you can see now that it has a little depth. We don't need to be too extruded, so I think this is okay. So now that we've done that, we can now add our logo. This is our logo. We'll drag it right here. We're going to put it on top of the extrude 3D, connect it to the extrude 3D so that the logo reflects the extrusion, right? And as you can see, it doesn't really look like an extruded logo. Instead, it looks like two flat logos, right? And this is because the edges of this logo is not touching the edge of the ellipse, right? So it's like the logo is smaller than the ellipse that we created, so it's not really covering or making the having this 3D effect. So what we can do is we have to add a transform between the, I have to zoom out a little. All right, so we'll have to add this transform. What this transform does is going to help us increase the size of this logo. So here we'll come to the inspector, we'll come to size, increase the size a little. And as we increase the size, wait, let me zoom in a little so we can see what we are doing. Yeah, okay. Now as we increase the size, you notice this space, right? This space here is going to start covering up, because it's going to touch the edges of the ellipse. You see that? It's going to start covering up. Yeah. So now I think at this point, the logo is now fully extruded. It now looks like a truly extruded logo. Yeah, check this out. So yeah. Alright, so now that we are done extruding the logo, we are going to add the mesh 3D to the extrude 3D. This is it. Add the mesh 3D. Then we are going to add the render 3D to render it out. Right, render 3D. Then we're going to add the camera 3D and pin it to the mesh 3D. So now that we've added the render 3D and the camera 3D, the next thing we're going to do is add it to this main timeline. That this is the main timeline, this is the media out. So everything up here needs to be connected to the media out. And the way we can do that is to hold on to the output of this render 3D, bring it right here to create a merge. So now we're able to connect all these things we've done up to the main timeline. So it's supposed to, this whole thing, this is supposed to reflect here, but it's not reflecting here, because if we click on the camera 3D, we'll notice that the camera, this happens a lot in Fusion, where you just add the camera, it's going to be in the same level with the objects. Is it the same level with the object? So it's like in the middle of the object, so you can't see it. So usually what you have to do is to drag the camera back. So when you drag the camera back, you notice now you are seeing the logo is coming out. It happens every time. As you add the camera, you need to drag it back. So that you drag it back or you reduce the size of the logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it back a little and then reduce the size of the logo just so it matches. So with the camera TDC selected, we are going to go to transform, and we're just going to drag it back like this to something around 1.9, something around this, right? And then the logo is still big, as you can see. We drag this, notice the logo is still big. I want it to be smaller. So now we're going to have to add a transform here. We're going to drag this this way, leave a space after the extrude. We're going to add a transform so we can make the logo smaller. Transform 3D, right? So with the transform selected, we'll reduce the size of the logo a little. I want it to be as big as, let's say this. I might still reduce it if I see that it's too big. So if we come to the extrude 3D, click on the extrude 3D, and we play with the rotation, see rotation Y. As you can see, we can spin the logo around. It looks 3D both ways. It looks very nice, right? So now that we are at this point, we can now animate the logo. Because now we've created the 3D effect, we extruded it and all that. Now we should animate the logo to come from the bottom spinning, right? Because that's how it is in the original intro. But before we animate this logo, we're going to go back to the edit page and add the next element, the next asset, which is this. I found this online a while ago. I use this for some of my videos. I'm just going to increase it, bring it down. So just going to cover the bottom half of, yeah, something like this, just to give you this nice club feel. And then we can now go back to Fusion and animate this logo. So to start the animation process, the first thing I'm going to do is to create two keyframes, one in frame 0. We'll have to click on this transform 3D. This is one I'm going to use to animate the logo, because this is the one that you can actually use to make the logo go up and down, and rotate the logo and stuff like that. So I'm going to use this transform 3D right here. So at frame 0, we're going to add a keyframe in translation Y, this translation Y right here. add a keyframe, and in the rotation Y to add a keyframe. You're going to move to frame 70, right? Frame 70, because this is the duration I want it to animate up, right? And then add on that keyframe in rotation and translation Y. Yeah. So if we play it, nothing happens, right? Because we know we actually animated it. So I'm going to go to frame 0 back, and then we're going to drag this translation Y, which is like position. I'm going to drag it down, drag it down, drag it down, drag it this much. Yeah, drag a little bit. I'm not going to take it out of the picture, because we have that, when in the edit page we have that black stuff covering it, right? So, and then we're going to go to jump to frame 70. I'm going to take this a little bit up, a little bit, yeah, something like this, something like this. And so if we play it right now, you notice it just comes up straight, right? But we need to add a rotation. We need to add a rotation. So at frame 70, we're going to add a 360 rotation. Just so when it's coming up, it rotates full cycle. So rotation Y, change to 360. Right. So now if we play from the beginning, you'll notice it comes spinning 360, and then boom, stops. Right? If we come back to the edit page and play the same clip, you notice now you have this blocking it, you won't see when it's coming up, and then it just comes up. Right, something like this. So now that we've done this, we'll have to jump back to Fusion to add a drop shadow. You notice it just kind of blends, the logo just kind of blends with the background. I need the drop shadow to kind of add contrast to the whole thing. So go back, my shortcut Ctrl+Shift+Q, back to Fusion, and then we're going to add the drop shadow between the render 3D and the merge. So we're going to drop shadow, add that, hold shift, add it here. There's a little bit of drop shadow, but we're going to customize it to our liking. So to adjust our drop shadow, we'll increase the shadow strength to 1, and then we'll reduce the shadow distance to something around 1.4 something, and then we'll increase the blur something like 0.63. Yeah, 0.63 is okay. So you can see now it has a little bit of, contrast behind the logo, just, to make it look better. So if we go back to the edit page and play the whole thing, it's going to come out like this. See that? Really nice. Really, really, really nice. So next we're going to add the bottles, the party champagne bottles. And I've already arranged them here in the timeline, so I don't have to import everything. As I said, I'm trying to make the tutorial as fast as possible, and I've already kind of arranged them the way that they're going to be animated in, so I don't have to do that too, just to make the whole thing easy. And I also color match the layers, so these two green layers are going to be by the left, and the yellow layers are going to be by the right, just to know how to arrange the bottles. So right now I can see the bottles, they are all stacked up in front of each other. If you come here, you go to inspector, you notice, see, they're all behind each other like this. Yeah, so they're actually like 4 bottles in total, right? Yeah, right. So we're quickly going to arrange these bottles, to match the intro. Alright, as you can see, we've animated the bottles, and what we have to do right now is just to animate them. Alright, as you can see, we have arranged the bottles. Alright, so as you can see, we've arranged the bottles, and all we have to do now is animate them. Well, if you look at the... Alright, so as you can see, we've arranged the bottles. All we need to do right now is animate them. But before we do that, we'll have to arrange our timeline, because we already have a lot of layers stacked up. We have about 8 layers right now. So we're just going to select the background and the solid color layer and make it a compound clip, right? Let's just put BG, right? BG. So it's going to be one layer, so we can select these ones and bring them down so we don't have our layers crowded, right? Then we can bring this now so we can see, bring it down a little so we can see what we are doing. See the preview, and if you play it, they're just gonna so we've not done the animation. All right, so to make the animation easy for me, I already created markers. If I drag each of these layers up, you notice that each of the layers has a marker. Each of these bottles have a marker. This is the point where it's going to be animated in, so I don't have to, worry about that, because I'm trying to make this tutorial as quick as it can be, right? So all these layers have markers already. So all I need to do right now is, in each of the layers, create a keyframe. Create a keyframe at the beginning of each of the layers. Let's start with this one. Come here, create a position keyframe, and come to the marker, create another one. Then we'll go to frame 0. So at frame 0, to animate the first bottle, we'll just activate this transform here. This is easier, so we can just easily move the bottle around. Control Z, instead of doing it here, animating the X and Y position. That is going to make the whole thing more difficult. So at frame 0, we'll just hold this, drag it down. Very easy. And then if we play it, it's just going to come up just like that. So we'll do the same thing to the first bottle by the left. The same thing. At create a keyframe, position keyframe, and create the second keyframe. Go back to the frame 0 and just drag it down. With this position, the preview handles, drag it down. So if we play it now, you notice the two bottles are just going to come like this. The other two bottles are just appearing because we've not animated those two, right? So they're just going to slide in like this. So the same thing, real quick. The second one by the left, position, come to the marker, position, go back to frame 0, drag it down. Just drag it down. So we'll do that to the last bottle. Select the last bottle by the right. Come over here to frame 0, create a keyframe, come to the marker, create a keyframe, go back to frame 0, and just drag it down. Just drag it down, and then let's go. You see that it's all just going to come up. It's all just going to come up. Very easy. Right. So now we are done with that. So now that we've animated the bottles, we're just going to collapse these layers back so they can be spaced to add more layers. Right. And we're going to add a particle layer. This is just to give it, this very nice feel. And I'm going to come here and pick this particle layer. It's just like this fire particle. Yeah, this is how the video is. Just to give it a nice feel. And we're going to change the blending mode of this to screen. So we really have this the fire particles, right? Just in screen. Let me bring it down. Right, just in the screen in front of the bottles, giving it this, yeah, just to make it nice. I added to some of my edits. So now that we are done animating the bottles and adding the particle layer, we're just going to add this disco ball I downloaded, a green screen. This disco ball green screen I downloaded from YouTube. I'm going to drag it to the beginning, and we're going to remove the drawing screen. And the best way to remove a green screen in DaVinci Resolve is to add what is called a 3D keyer. So to add a 3D keyer, we're going to go to OpenFX and add 3D key. Yeah, 3D keyer. Add it to the disco ball green screen. So you can see that right here, the 3D keyer has been added in the effects OpenFX panel. Then we'll have to come here and click on OpenFX overlay to be able to use this 3D keyer. And how we can do that is just by dragging. Now that we've selected OpenFX overlay, just drag along the paths with the green screen and it's gone. But it's not perfect. If you zoom in, you'll notice that it has this green stuff. And all we can do is use this peel slider, drag it to the end, and as you can see, the green is gone. Right. So back to fit, and here we have our nice disco ball. And what we can do is bring it down. We'll have to increase it a little just to cover the bottom of the bottles and give it this club feeling, right? And then we're going to animate this ball to come in, right? So as you can see, I already have a marker. I have a marker right here just to indicate where I'm going to animate it in, so I don't have to figure that out. So I have this marker. So here I'm going to create a position keyframe, go to 0, create another position keyframe, and let's drag this a little. Then go to, in 0, we'll bring it down. Just bring it down, bring it down. All right, so it comes out like this. You see that? So in the beginning, where the buttons are coming up, it's still going to come up. Right. Very nice. Very nice. Now, to give the disco ball this glowing feeling, like it's sparkling, because if you go to the club, you see these disco balls, because they have so many colorful lights reflecting on the disco ball, it gives you this, very shining, like it's glowing and radiating. And we can't really replicate it here with like adding lights and stuff, but there's this presets I've had for a while. It was created by Patrick Sterling. I mean, if you are using Fusion, I don't know who Patrick Sterling is then. I don't know who you are learning from, because he's one of like the biggest DaVinci Resolve tutorial YouTubers on YouTube. Like it's really big, and I've learned a lot from him. And I got this Proto V2. If you go to effects, okay, remove this here, effect, Patrick Sterling, this is it, Proto V2. As you can see, just hovering, very amazing preset, can be used to do so many things. So we are going to add the Proto V2 effect to the ball, and you'll notice the glow doesn't just affect the ball but affect the edges of the picture. It's a green screen video, right? And because the Proto V2 effect is made to wrap around the edges of whatever you are doing, your PNG or whatever, because this is a green screen, the effect still identifies the edges of the main video, not just the ball. So this is a problem. So you have the ball glowing, and you also have this line, right? This line, yeah, that indicates the edges of the video itself with the green screen. So I had issues with this when I was doing it for the first time, but I found a workaround. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to Fusion straight up, and just so that we can constrain the effect to just the ball, we're going to add an ellipse mask, right, to the media in. Right, so this is the ellipse mask. I'm just going to drag it to make sure it covers the ball. Right, just covers the ball. Drag this here a little, bring it up. But I think this is good. All right, so go back to the edit page, and as you can see now, the glow is restricted to just the ball, right? Because we're able to mask the whole thing. Now we're going to change the color of this Proto V2 effect on it. This is kind of like a silver color. We need it to be purple to match the background, purple-like color to match the background. So Patrick actually have a couple of effects, a couple of presets in this Proto V2. If we go to user here in the inspector, you have a couple of effects that you can use. So when you click on it, you notice the color changes, right? The style of the reflection changes. So I'm going to use this wavy, right? It gives you this purple-like color. So if we start the animation again, you can see it comes up and the color kind of blends with the purple color of the background. Yeah, that's how we had to change it. So just really, really nice. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add the text. But before we do that, we'll notice the length of this cool green screen is not really long. So it ends here. So after here, it just kind of disappears. So we have to duplicate it, right? Duplicate it. So after duplicating it, we are going to remove the first keyframe of the second one, so it doesn't come from the bottom again. Because just the first one that will need to come from the bottom, the second one should just be static right there. Then we'll duplicate it again to make it 3, so it can extend to the end of the intro, right? So it just stays there. All right, so we are going to add the text, and the text we're going to be using is called outline offset. Outline offset is right here. Outline offset. So I'm going to drag it here. And I like this because of the effect it has, just like zooming in. Yeah, so I like this effect of just zooming in, like comes from the screen. I like that. And then we are going to make some changes to this text because I don't like the outline, this blue outline. I don't like it, but I like the animation, and I don't want to have to create the animation myself. So to remove this blue outline and still use the same presets, just the first layer, we'll have to go to Fusion. So here in Fusion, all the adjustment, the animations, they are inside this grouped node. And to remove this, to remove the stroke behind it, we are going to remove this back outline node. I'm going to disconnect it because I don't really want it. Disconnect the back outline node, and this front outline, remove it. Right, so now we are just left with the main text and the text merge. So if we, you see it now, just left with the white, and this is what I want. Just want the white. So now that we've removed the outlines we don't want, we'll go back to the editing page. So we just have just the stroke, and we are going to write the name of the brand, Miolino Hotel, and then we're going to change this to bold. I'm going to go to settings and reduce. I'm going to reduce. Yeah, bring it right here. I think the logo is too big, right? I think the logo is too big, so we're just going to go back to the adjustment clip where we have the logo animation. Go to Fusion, and we're going to click on the transform, and then we're going to reduce the size. Just make it a little bit smaller. Yep, and then maybe, yeah, go to the last frame 70, drag it up a little. So we are back in the edit page, and I just noticed the, yeah, while the text is animating in, it's kind of cropped. So what we're going to do is we're just going to increase the size, increase the overall size, go to the beginning of the animation, increase the size to fit, and then it's going to be really big. But then we can come to the title and reduce the size of the title. So I think I'll make it a little bit bigger, something like this. And as you can see, the whole text is just white, kind of blends with the background. We need to add some drop shadows to it. So I'm going to search for OpenFX drop shadow. Drop. So first of all, we're going to increase the strength of this drop shadow to 0.6 something, maybe 650 something, and the angle, we'll leave it at 37.5, and then we'll increase the distance, or reduce the distance rather, to 0.14, and then the blur, will reduce the blur to 0.2 something, right? This already looks good, but we are going to add another drop shadow just to make it look better, the contrast look better. And then we're going to increase this one to 0.72 something, and leave this one at 37.15. Then the distance, just bring it to 0, and then drag this one to 1.8 something. So the second drop shadow layer just makes it more, contrasty, makes the text more contrasty. And now that we have that done, we're going to change the color of this text. And I would have done this earlier, but we're just going to go back to Fusion, clicking on this same text, go back to Fusion. So we are going to click on the main text here, main text, and here you see color, and we'll change to something gold-like, like this. Oh, this looks good. I'll just leave it like this. This looks good. So going back to the edit page, as you can see, the color has this, this gold-like color with a gradient in between, and it doesn't look sharp because in the playback resolution is quarter. So to make it full, you see this is the real resolution. I've been making the whole thing with quarter resolution, which made it less sharp, but looking at it right now, you can see how sharp it is. All right, so let's play the whole thing with the full resolution and see what we've created. Nice. So what we're going to do next is to duplicate this text. So we're going to have 2 lines of text, but before we do that, we'll notice if I drag this up, we have like a lot the layers are stacking up. So to make this timeline less crowded, we're just going to select all the bottle PNGs, create a new compound clip, right click, new compound clip, and name it bottles, right? So now we can select all these and drag it down, right, so that the whole timeline is going to be less crowded. Right, so now we're going to edit our second text. drag the text down. So we're going to write VIP bar because it's an intro for a bar video. VIP bar, right? I will come here, make this bigger than the Molino Hotel VIP bar, make it big. Okay, maybe this big. All right. So now if we play the whole thing, it's going to be like this. It's slow because we are rendering the whole thing in full resolution. Okay, so the VIP bar and the Molino Hotel came the same time. So we're just going to push this forward a little. Okay, so they don't come in at the same time. All right. Good. Yeah, and just like that, guys, we are done with the intro. We are actually done with the intro. We just need to add one more thing, right? Yeah, one more thing. All right, so I noticed something in this text. When the text comes in like this, you notice when they both come in, they don't just stay static, they start reducing in size, and that is because of how the text preset is. This particular text preset was created to fade out. So when it comes in, it reduces until it fades out. But we don't want it to fade out. We want it to just come into the screen and stay static, right? Instead of coming like this, right, and just reducing, we want to come in and stay static in this size. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some adjustment to each of these texts in Fusion. So we're going to open each of these texts in Fusion and delete some keyframes so it doesn't reduce in size. So we'll go to the first one, move to Fusion, and open the group. All right, so the animation is in this text node, and if you open the text node, you see the animation. This is what we have to fix, right? So notice when it comes in, it starts reducing in size. So we're going to delete these two keyframes right here. These two keyframes are the problem. So this keyframe, it was animated to reduce in size till it gets to this keyframe and then it fades out. So we're going to delete these two keyframes right here. Delete these two keyframes. Now when it comes in, it stays. You see that after deleting those two last keyframes, it stays. Some of these templates, they're already programmed to like fade out or reduce in size, but if you want to use the same templates but you just want it to come in and stay, then you have to go into Fusion and delete some of these keyframes. All right, so let's go back. Move the second one to Fusion and delete these two. Delete these two. All right, so now if we replay it, yeah, replaying it, you notice they don't reduce in size anymore. Both text, they stay static. So if you're okay with any text, note that you don't like the way it's fading out, you don't want it to fade out, you have to go to Fusion and make those adjustments. Now to the last part of this edit. I know this this has been a very lengthy video. I'm tired myself. We're going to add I'm going to turn on the audio again. We're going to add a beat, like a beat effects to this. So it's like each of the beats in the audio, we put a kind of effect that makes the screen bounce. It's like a bouncy effect. I'm going to show you in just a bit, but I want to explain it. So with all these beats, you notice these blue marks in the audio. These are the points of the beat, right? I've already added these markers to just make it easier for us. So each of these markers, we're going to add an effect, and I'm going to show you right now. That's going to give you this jumpy. So each time it gets to that beat, the screen kind of moves forward and backward. It's a bouncy effect. So I'm going to do that real quick so that we can wrap up this video. All right, so go to the first keyframe. This is the first beat. If you play it, yeah, so that is the first beat. So come here, click on this adjustment layer. That's why we have the adjustment layer up. We're going to apply it on the adjustment layer so that it will affect all the layers under it. Now the idea is that when you get to this point where there's the beats, you're going to add 3 keyframes. These 3 keyframes are going to have 2 frames in between. So this is where so that's the beats. So I'm going to come here, set a keyframe in the zoom, the scale. Then we're going to go 2 keyframes forward, 1, 2, and then set another keyframe, another 2 keyframes forward, 1, 2, and set another keyframe. So if you look here in the keyframes panel, we'll set 3 keyframes. So now that we've created these 3 keyframes, what we're going to do to give this bouncy effect with the beat is I'm going to choose the middle keyframes. Remember, we created 3 keyframes, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to choose the middle keyframe, and then we're just going to increase it from 1.00 to 1.100, which is just going to increase the scale of the screen a little, the scale of the video a little. So check it out. You see that? Very quick. Just went up and down. Yeah, it gives you this bouncy. You see that? Yeah, so that's what we want to do. So we're going to create that and duplicate this, what we just created, to all the markers that we've created down here. All these markers are going to duplicate, copy and paste the same beats effect to all of them, so that each time it encounters that beat, it goes up and down, giving this bouncy effect. So I'm going to come here, copy this keyframe, Ctrl C. I'm going to reduce it in the keyframe panel so you can see other keyframes, and then we'll move some frame forward to this next beat. We just make sure you are on the keyframe panel, you Ctrl V. Then we move to the next keyframe, Ctrl V. No, we're not in the keyframe panel. Ctrl V. We'll take it forward a little. We move to the next keyframe, Ctrl V. So we're not going to create these keyframes again. We're just copying and pasting at this point. We've added that effect to all the parts where we have the beats to give it that bouncy effect, and I will play the whole thing. Yeah, so you see that the screen kind of bounces with the beats. That's what we just did, and it's very easy. Create 3 keyframes, set the middle keyframes to 1.100 instead of 1.00, so that it comes forward and backward, and you're good to go. So we've come to the end of this tutorial, and that's how I was able to make that intro. It's kind of complex, and I hope most of you were able to follow through to the end. And for those of you that downloaded the assets, I hope you guys were able to get the assets and use it, follow along with the assets and everything I used, and probably came up with a similar results, hopefully. And if you enjoyed the video, please drop a comment, tell me how the process was of you following along with the tutorial, if it was easy, if it was hard, if there was something I would have added to this edit to make it look better, if there's something I would have removed. And yeah, just drop a comment, tell me what you think about the entire video, the intro, the final results, and like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. I'll see you in my next video.